Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift. Today, we are going to talk about fasting. Who doesn't know about fasting? We just finished with Lent and Navratri, and we're in the middle of Ramzan. And Jainism, Buddhism, every religion advocates fasting, and it is embedded in our religious calendar. So, today, we are going to be in conversation with Mr. RBS Bir, who is the founder of AFK Academy, that is Autophagy, Fasting and Ketosis. Good evening, Mr. Beer. How are you?
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, hi.
So before we begin, I want to read a little bit about you. Mr. RBS Bir completed his B.Tech Chemical Engineering from IIT Delhi in 1975, followed by MBA from IIM Bangalore in 1980. Worked at Berger Paints, MRF Limited, ACC Limited at senior executive positions in the fields of sales, marketing, and logistics. He was the head of sales and then head of logistics at ACC. He retired as the head of subsidiary of ACC. He studied the science of weight loss on his own in 2015 and lost 30 kilos from 100 kgs. At present, his weight is 70 kgs for a height of 5 feet 9. Rest of the story, we're going to hear it from the man himself. So are we ready, Mr. Beer?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, Mr. Beer, let's go back to your childhood. Let's hear what kind of a person you were in your early days, as a youngster or wherever you want to start your early days from.
Okay. See, I was a very simple kind of a child, in the sense that I was not very, aggressive. I was not very big player, but I was very fond of studies. So I was always a topper in my class, a topper in my school, and I was very fond of studies. And that's how. Then at those days it was class 11, so I took the class 11 exam for various engineering examinations, and IIT was the top one, so I also took the IIT examination. I was I managed to get an all India rank of 302, which is a good rank, and I was getting all the disciplines in all the IITs. At that time there were 5 IITs in the country. So I selected the IIT Delhi because it was close to my hometown. My hometown was Delhi. I mean, I did all my schooling, all my life. Initially, I was in Delhi. So I'm basically a Delhiite. And then I went to the IIT. I finished my IIT in 1975. So is that enough, or do you want me to tell more about my childhood?
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. So, Mr. B, tell us about your corporate life. Did this in any ways, contribute to the gain of your weight?
Okay. See, in corporate life, we were very focused on what needed to be done in terms of, we had targets, and we always were in some kind of a competition to get better grades. The boss should give us better ratings. We should get more increments. We should get promotions. So all the time we were very, very focused on what the job was to be done.
Okay.
And so much so that even our families were neglected to a large extent, and personal care, personal health, and all never figured at the top of mind. I mean, it was even to think of our children. Like, I have 2 sons, to spend enough time with the sons or my children. That itself, the time that we got to spend with our family was so rare, because in corporate life, sometimes even in the evenings, the boss can call you and you have to give him the answer. You have to prepare something, or sometimes next day there is a presentation, or so you have to prepare. So most of the time, the family, time used to suffer. So there was absolutely, we were all completely focused on what needed to be done for the job, and therefore personal health, personal care, I think it was way down in our priority.
Absolutely.
And number two, I didn't even know initially how important was health, and how to deal with it, how to control it. All I knew was that after I got married, my wife started making very good food. So, and she also wanted to please me, and extra sweet dish, and all that. So after my marriage, my weight kept going up steadily. I must have been very skinny at a weight of about 60 when I got married, maybe 60 or 65 or something. It went on 70, 75, 80, and towards when I came into 40s, I think my weight must have crossed 90 something. That means I was, kind of obese. I was
Okay.
a fat man,
Well fed.
and sorry.
Well fed.
So corporate life, and you see, in the corporate life, many times there were many of our meetings used to become late. There used to be many functions in the evenings where we had to attend dinners, and the
Yeah.
dinners, it was very common to have drinks. So
Right.
you'll have a drink. I mean, there were various people from other departments, from bosses, and some international guests who have come. So the dinner will start maybe at 8:30, it'll go on till maybe 12:31 or something, and you're
Right.
drinking all the time, and having snacks. Snacks are floating around all the time,
Yeah.
and you go on munching food, go on drinking, and then you get on to food, and you end it with a dessert. So this used to happen maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 times a month.
Okay.
So, and then we'll have conferences. Many of our conferences are in five-star hotels in various locations in India, sometimes even abroad. So,
Right.
2 days, 3 days of those conferences. So you can imagine, in a conference, apart from doing what we've had to do, the planning on whatever was to be done for our work, for our job, planning for the company for the next 1 year or next 5 years. But there was plenty of food and drinks. So
All the time.
one was always putting on the weight. So
Correct.
it was a natural process. It was not easy to, yeah, and our attention also was not there.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, Mr. Beer, when did you say enough is enough? And when did the paradigm shift happen? And when did you wanted to take serious control of your health?
Okay. See, there was in my late 40s till about early 50s, or till I became almost, let's say, 60s. So those
Okay.
15 years, I had realized that my weight is more, and I should decrease my weight. I tried various things, exercise, gym, walking, whatever.
Hmm.
But there used to be phases, phase of an exercise, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. You will do that period, and maybe decrease 2, 3, 4 kgs, and after some time, something will happen. You will just, kind of, it'll just fizzle out, and then
Yeah.
you'll forget about it, and
Right.
then again the weight will go up, and after 1, 2, 3 years, again you'll get into another phase. Okay, now something has to be done. So this happened 3, 4, 5 times.
Right.
I somehow it went on like that. But around the age of 60 plus, around the age of my 60 plus, uh, I my weight had touched 99 or 100. It touched 100. So 100, when my weight starts, this is 1 century. I don't want. I didn't want my weight to be 100 kg.
Right.
So that is when it really hit me that I don't want to be a 100 kg fat man. So that really hit me, and that is when I thought I should do something, and I think I joined a very big dietitian, nutrition kind of a company. And
Okay.
do you want me to tell more about that, or?
I mean, you can. But I mean, you must have spent a lot of money there. Yeah.
Yeah. So so when that happened, as you said, it was a big jolt to me that I'm I've reached 100 kg. I have to do something about this. I was very desperate, and I studied. I There was some lady known to us. She had lost some weight by going to a very prominent and very famous dietitian company. That company has maybe hundreds of branches all over the country, and they charge a lot of money. They used to charge a lot of money. They still do, and they were very famous. So I thought of going to them because this lady had lost, some weight, 10, 15 kgs of weight. My target to lose weight at that time was about 20 kgs. And I went to them and I paid them a very big FT money, almost 2 lakh rupees I paid. At that time, 2 lakh rupees. 2 lakh rupees even today for weight loss program is a very big money.
Right.
And so I joined them. They gave me, basically what they did was these kind of diets are called calorie restriction diets.
Okay.
Calorie restriction means you cut down on your food, increase some exercise. They used to insist that I do certain amount of exercise, cut down on food. So they used to give me a diet plan, and the diet plan was essentially cutting down on roti rice and all that, and limiting the quantity that I could eat. And the plan also said what I should eat. The plan was given day wise.
Right.
So that was the plan. I followed that plan I followed it very seriously, very religiously, because having paid so much money, I was very serious.
Yeah.
Then the weight started coming down. In about 3 months, I think I lost about 10 or maybe 11 kg weight. But then after that, the weight loss stalled. It just stopped going down. And I kept, in fact, I decreased my diet even more. I used to spend 1 hour in the gym. I started spending 2 hours and 3 hours. And by the way, at that time, I was in the Imperial Heights, and though there were plenty of gyms at that building.
Right.
So I used to, spend a lot of time in the gyms. I used to go for a walk, 60 minutes, 90 minutes. That means in all, I was spending 3 to 4 hours on walking and gymming and cutting down my food. But my weight will not go down. And I was going to this dietitian company every week. They had an office at Andheri. I had to go there. So 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months means almost 10 weeks, 12 weeks. I kept going to them, but the weight was not going down. So I was getting very frustrated that what's happening. So obviously that company did not bother, and they did not even refund me the money. But then I just gave up. And then by that time I had read something on my own. There is an author called Jason Funk. I read about that author around the same time. Around the same time, there was some sound is coming.
Oh, that's
around the same time. Yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
Around the same. Yeah. Okay. Around the same time, I read about one Japanese scientist. His name is Yoshinori Oshumi.
Okay.
So he got a Nobel Prize in 2016. I somehow came across the research that he had done, and then I found that his research was essentially on this topic, the topic of he called it autophagy.
Okay.
Autophagy, the word autophagy means, autophagy. Auto means self, phagy is eating. That means the body is eating itself. So essentially, body is eating itself means, what does it mean? Or what it means is that our body consists of cells, and each cell, when you are not eating food, that you're in the fasting period. When you're not eating food, the cells need energy. So you're not eating food, so there is no energy inside the cell because there is no food, there's no blood glucose. So the cell looks within it, and there are some debris or some older cells, broken material, broken parts of the cell, damaged cells, even broken cells, or even some bacteria or virus. Whatever is there, the cell will eat it up. Now, what does it mean? What it means is, if there is a bacteria, it will be eaten up. If there is a virus, it will be eaten up. So this essentially is increasing your immunity, because bacteria and these viruses are the ones which are attacking your body, and these are eaten up by the cells. That means, in a way, your body has destroyed the bacteria, your body has destroyed the virus. So this is called the increase in immunity. And these cells, for example, you can in a way prevent cancer, because what is cancer? Cancer is when the cells over a period of time, they become, they age, they become older, and then they die. But sometimes they become older, they don't die, they become sick, and after becoming sick, they start mutating. Now, when they start mutating, this is mutation of a cell is called cancer. So one cell will mutate and become cancerous, and that cell will multiply. One will become two, two will become four, and four will become eight, and keep happening. And within 1, 2, 3 months, you'll go to stage 1 of cancer. Another 2, 3 months, you'll go to stage 2, and within a few months, you'll be in stage 4 of cancer. And you know how cancer is. Most people, if they reach stage 4, it's very difficult to bring them back. They lose their life in the next few months or next few years of cancer. So what happens in this particular thing is, you can prevent cancer because a cell has to first become sick, and then it has to mutate before it becomes cancerous. So at that stage, if the healthy cells have eaten it up, you will never have a cell which will mutate and become sick and become cancerous. So in a way, you can prevent cancer. Yeah.
Amazing.
So this is autophagy.
Yeah. So you've explained autophagy very well. So what kind of fasting or what kind of autophagy did you take up when you started your journey into weight loss?
Okay. So you see, one more thing I learned was, one is a process of autophagy, which I just now explained to you. This happens at the cell level, cellular level.
Okay.
There is another process which happens at the body level, which means blood glucose, insulin, fat, ketosis. So that's another process which happens. So if you want, I can explain this process, because
please.
Yeah. So you see, this is in fact the turning point of my, you use the word paradigm shift. So this in fact was the paradigm shift happened because of 2 points. I'm going to say 2 points, one after the other. One is, let me first start with food. In food, you have, for example, our food consists of sugars. Now, sugar can be plain sugar, which we had in tea and coffee. Sugars are there in your desserts, ice cream, and custards, and puddings. So that's sugar. The sugar, food which has sugar, it goes to the body. The body converts it into blood glucose. It goes to the bloodstream, and once it goes to the bloodstream, it's circulating all over the body. So the same sugar has now become blood sugar. It's there in the bloodstream, and this is how our body is getting energy all the time. All the movement that our body does, our brain is functioning, our heart is working, it needs energy. The energy all the time is coming from the blood glucose, which is in the blood. Okay, this is the source of energy for a normal body to be functioning. Now, let me first go to food number 2. Let's call it carbs. Now, carbs is a very general term. You have, but carbs, foods which are very heavy in carbs are called carbs. There is no food which is, we can say this is carb, it is just 100% carb. There is no food like that. Every food has, foods normally have a mix of 2-3 things. Foods have carbs, foods have proteins, foods have, sometimes they also have fat. So, but foods which are very dense in carbs are called carbs. Now, these foods are essentially grains, which means wheat, rice, maize, and even the coarse cereals. And that means all the grains. In Hindi, I call it anaj, but all the grains, these are very dense in carbs. The density of carbs can be anything from 60% to 80% of the total food, and that is carbs. Now, so the second item I told you is carbs. Now, what happens to these carbs? When we eat food, sugars, I told you, converts into blood sugar. These carbs, when they are digesting, these also convert into blood sugar. Now, there are 2 points. One point is the carbs are converted into blood sugar. So, again, gone to the blood. Now, our blood has blood sugar coming from sugars. Our blood has blood sugar coming from carbs. The blood doesn't know which part of the blood sugar has come from sugars, which part has come from carbs. Both are equal. As far as the blood is concerned, both are equal. So whether you had ice cream or you had roti and chawal and bread, both are equal. But most of the people, they will say, I don't put even 1 spoon of sugar in my tea or my coffee. Most of the people. And then I ask them, how many rotis do you eat? How much bread do you eat? Or how much rice do you eat? And how many biscuits do you eat? Then they tell me 2 rotis, 3 rotis, and 1 plate or 2 plates of rice, and some sandwiches, some dosa, idli, pasta, noodles, all that. So when I add up all that, it comes to anything from 20, 30, 40 spoons of sugar, equal to sugar, because once they convert into blood glucose, they'll go to the blood stream. So once they've gone to the blood stream, the blood doesn't mind, the blood doesn't know whether it's come from carbs or it's come from sugar. And this is sometimes I give an example to people because sometimes they don't very quickly understand. So I tell them, if I give you 2,000 rupees by cash, or if I give you 2,000 rupees by check, the money I'm giving you is 2,000 rupees. If I give you a check, it'll come to your bank maybe after 1 day or 2 days or 3 days. So similarly, when I'm eating roti and rice, it converts into blood sugar after a period of 2 hours, 2.5 hours, or 3 hours. It takes a longer time to convert. But ultimately, it gives you blood sugar. It's like a check. It's like a check. It gives you blood sugar. Whereas when you have pure sugar, and even within the purest form of sugar is, for example, the green colored box, the glucose D, the glucose, sometimes you get injured and they tell you, give him a spoon of glucose. That glucose converts to energy maybe within 30 minutes, because that's a very fast way of giving energy to the body. But that also is converting into blood glucose. And when you eat roti rice, this is, so sometimes when we go for our blood sugar test, they take our blood sugar, at the fasting stage. That means, you've not eaten for 10 hours or 12 hours. Then they give you food. They give you all the food, including, breads and all that. And then they tell you to wait for 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And then they check your blood sugar again. Now, why do this is called postprandial, checking of the blood sugar. They do this because it takes 2 to 2.5 hours. They want all the carbs that we have eaten to convert into blood sugar, because they want to see what is the highest level of blood sugar that your blood gets. So this particular, this particular thing about carbs converting into blood sugar and taking a longer time is the first paradigm shift, in the sense, once I understood that the root cause, if I was fat at that time, if I had 25 or 30 kg of extra weight, most of it came from the roti and rice and the naan or butter naan or whatever noodles and Chinese food I was eating. Many times, we used to think that, yes, obviously, sometimes we eat, ice cream, we eat desserts. But if you look at the total amount of fat which has come into my body, I think the only 15 to 20% of the fat would have come because of the sugars, but 70 to 80% of the fat had come because of the carbs. So this was one very important realization, that the real culprit was roti and rice and these grains. I call these grainy carbs, or in Hindi, there's a ready-made word which is anaj. English doesn't have a very good word for it, because some people call it refined carbs, but I call it grainy carbs. Okay, because in refined carbs, sometimes the coarse cereals are left out. So I call it anaj, or grainy carbs. So this is the first point. The second point is, how do we now we know the root cause. Now, how to get rid of this weight? So once you get into now, this is something I learned from Jason Fung. When you go into fasting, in the first 10 hours or 12 hours of fasting, most of the food that we have eaten has been digested and it's gone to the other end of the intestine, and most of the blood glucose from the food has gone into the bloodstream. So the food has played its part. That means the food has finished, but your body has to function. But you have not eaten food for 12 hours, but there is enough blood sugar in your blood even then, so your body is still functioning. Your body has no problem. But after 12 hours, 13 hours, 13, 14, 15, 16, around 15, 16, 17 hours, your blood glucose has started coming down to a very low level. It's coming down to a very low level. Now, there is one more thing which is called insulin.
Okay.
I need to explain this. Blood glucose gives energy. Blood glucose has to go inside the cell to give energy. So, but when blood glucose inside the cell, it cannot go directly. This is, let's say, this is the cell. So blood glucose has to go inside. It cannot go directly. There is a gate, and the gate is controlled by a hormone which is called insulin. Okay. Insulin. So when we are eating food, the body is producing blood glucose. So blood glucose is going up, but insulin is required for the blood glucose to go into the cell and then to give energy. If there is no insulin in the body, the blood glucose will not give it energy. This is a problem that the diabetes people have. They have a problem with insulin resistance and insulin. That I can explain separately. But what I'm saying is, for normal people, when blood glucose is there in the body also makes insulin in a matching proportion. And the insulin, once insulin is there in the body, the insulin opens the gate and the blood glucose can go, and this is how you get energy. So, but now we were talking about fasting, 12, 13, 14 hours have passed, blood glucose started coming down. Body thinks, oh, blood glucose is coming down, now I don't need insulin. There is no need to produce more insulin because there is no blood glucose is already finishing. So insulin also starts coming down. Now, when insulin starts coming down, when it goes to a rock bottom, I call it a threshold or a cutoff point. Let's call it a cutoff point. Once it reaches a cutoff point, this is called ketosis. That means ketosis has started. It's like an AC. A temperature has been reached, and then the AC will cut off. Similarly, here when the cutoff is reached, the use of blood sugar is cut off. The blood sugar, is no longer giving energy to the body. So that circuit is off. It's something like your electricity has gone off, and now your laptop is now running on the battery. Something like that. It's a different circuit. Okay. Or it's running on an inverter or converter or whatever. So the main electricity has gone. So blood glucose has stopped. Now the body has to run. How will the body run? The body has one more source, like the battery, which is the fat. We have plenty of fat in our body. Like at that time, I must have had some 30, maybe 40 kg of fat, out of which I lost 30. So maybe I still have 10 or 12 kg. But your fat doesn't have to be zero in your body. Even 10 kg fat for my size is okay. 10, 12 kg of fat is okay. But that extra, so there was plenty of fat in the body. That fat is a source of energy. So during ketosis, what happens is the fat starts burning. When the fat burns, it gives you energy. It also produces ketones. So ketones, that's why the word ketosis. So what happens in this period is that fat has started burning, ketones have started forming, are getting produced, and this process is called ketosis. Now, ketones is a very superior form of energy. It's very good. It's very good for the brain. So when ketones go to the brain, it's very good for the brain. The brain feels very good and fresh and much better. And so now our body is working on ketones. So now, having started burning your fat and converting it to energy, and your body is functioning, this can go for a very long time. It can go for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, or whatever period. But obviously, we don't do like this for new people. We generally start them on 16 hours fasting, and slowly we keep going up to maybe 18 hours or 20 hours or 24 hours. And it depends upon individuals. And after some time, they cross even 24 hours. Some people start doing 2 days fasting, 3 days fasting. The world record for long fasting is 382 days. You'll be surprised that somebody, of course, this experiment was done in a hospital environment in the presence of doctors, but one person who had, so much of weight, he was not given food for 382 days. He remained alive. Wow. So there is enough fat in the body, enough energy in the body that for 382 days without eating any food, the man was alive. Wow. And even in India, there are examples of Anna Hazare and maybe maybe Mahatma Gandhi also used to do a few times. When they do anchan means when they are protesting and they go on a they stop eating food. So I think Anna Hazare has done, I don't know the exact number, but he's done, I think 50-60 days he has done. That means 50-60 days he did not eat food. So obviously your body is losing weight, but his purpose at that time was not losing weight. He was fighting for a cause. So the point is the body.
There is this one person, Mr. Beer, Mr. He's Elitome. I forget the name of his complete name. He's in America. He's not had real food and water. He's fasting for, I think, over 20 years now, and he's fine. I was doing a juice fast with the Sattvic movement, and he was actually live with us, and he was talking to us, and it was amazing. And he was this. So probably at the end of the interview, I will share the name. I will Google him and I'll share with him. So please go on. So we were talking about.
So fasting is something which has been there in our Indian, culture. There is, for example, I mean, it's every religion, they do fasting or one day and whatever. Even Muslims do this. Christians have a Lent. Muslims have Ramzan. But there is one community, Jains. Jains believe in very long-term fasting of, I don't know, 10 days, 15 days. I don't know. Maybe they even do maybe 30 days. So they do long-term fasting. And even Yoshimi. Yoshinori, Oshimi. So even when he did when he wrote his research paper based on which he got the Nobel Prize, he quoted from the Indian practice of fasting, and he said people have been fasting in India for thousands of years. So this is something not very new. But what he did was he explained the molecular, biological process of fasting and what happens, and the autophagy and what happens to the cell and all that. So he did that kind of thing. But in terms of practice, he explained to us that fasting has been there in our society for a very long time. Not only India, but I think Muslims had Ramadan and Lent and all that. So coming back to the process, so in the paradigm shift, there were two main points. One was that the biggest culprit is the carbs, the grainy carbs, roti chawal. So once you understand this, and if you, if you stop eating roti rice, that itself, your cutting down of the weight will happen. So that is, it's not very easy. Then we'll discuss how to do this, mind control, So that's another difficulty level. We can discuss that separately. Obviously, we have to deal with that. So, but this is one thing that we stop. We tell them during your weight loss program, the first thing you have to do is, you can't do it overnight. We tell them to cut it over a period of time, but they need to cut down their roti rice and all the carbs, because the example I give them is, if you put your clothes for drying, every 4 hours or every 6 hours, you go and put a bucket of water on your clothes. Will they ever dry? So similarly, you're trying to do weight loss. You want to have breakfast. You want to have lunch. You want to have dinner. So there is the chance that you will ever have a weight loss. So you need to cut down on your carbs. So this is one. The second is, unless the insulin level has gone to that level and your body has reached ketosis, which happens after fasting for 15, 16, 17 hours. Your body does not reach ketosis without fasting for 15, 16, 17 hours. So unless you do that, you open the door for, fat to burn. And once fat is burning, you keep the door open. You can keep it open for 1 day. You can keep it open for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So that's a process. We have a program, so normally people lose weight in 2, 3, 4 months in our program. But the point is, when the fat is burning, let it burn as much as possible. Now that depends upon individual. Some people do it for a longer period, so they lose very fast. Some people do in short steps, 16 hours, 18 hours, 20 hours. They take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. It's okay. So that's a matter of detail. But essentially, these are the two main paths why or how weight loss can be achieved.
Beautiful. So in this whole process that you have explained to us, when you were on the journey what were the obstacles that you faced while being on the diet? And why I want this to be addressed is because all of us at every point in our lives are on a weight loss journey, and we find this. And so how did you overcome, what were the obstacles and how did you overcome these?
Okay. See, the first obstacle is the ignorance that we don't
Yeah.
even know
Yeah.
that we didn't know that carbs is the culprit, and the second is what is the key I need to start my burning of the fat. Some people, for about 30 years, I also, there are many people even today they believe that calorie in and calorie out. You eat so many calories and you burn so many calories, and you cut down on your food, and then you will lose weight. This is called
Right.
calorie restriction. This
Right.
doesn't work. It works for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 kg weight, but after that it plateaus, because once you cut down your food, the metabolism, the body reduces the metabolism. It slows down the metabolism, and therefore after some time, the weight loss stops. The metabolism has become slow.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we have seen infinite number of
Everywhere.
examples. People doing exercise, going to a gym, cutting food 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but never succeeding. And even I read, when I read about Jason Fung and whatever he explained, so he very clearly says calorie restriction does not work. You have to go to ketosis. You have to turn that switch. That switch starts only after 15, 16 hours, this thing, and then the fat will start burning only when insulin level goes to the
Goes
rock
down.
bottom. So how to
Okay.
push the insulin level to rock bottom? You have to push the blood sugar level to a rock bottom. So you have to empty out all the food in the body. So, and then blood sugar will go down, then insulin will go down, and ketosis will start, and fat will start burning. So one thing is to understand this. Second thing is carbs. So this one say, so the first obstacle, as I said, was ignorance. The second is hunger, and your habit. There are two things. One is your body feels hungry. You get some hunger pangs. You feel hungry. So, and the other is mind.
Your mind.
Your mind remembers कि यार मेरे को लंच का टाइम था, लंच में खाना नहीं खाया, फिर मेरा ब्रेकफास्ट भी मिस हो गया, डिनर भी, and then everyone else is eating in the house. Everyone. I mean, others are not fasting. Only you are fasting. So somebody is eating something, the other is eating. So these were the challenges. One was ignorance. I told you. So when people come to our program, we explain to them. So at least the ignorance part is out. The second is hunger. They face hunger for a few days. So, but hunger is again, there are two aspects. Hunger, one is a body thing.
And
Hunger.
mind.
There is a hormone called ghrelin.
Okay.
So breakfast time, lunch time, and dinner time, the body has its own body clock. It produces ghrelin. So when ghrelin goes up, you feel hungry. But the body clock also has after half an hour or 1 hour or maybe 1.5 hours, ghrelin comes down. So if you, for example, ghrelin will start coming around 12:30, around lunchtime, maybe up to 1 o'clock. But if you don't give food to your body up to 1:30 and 2, ghrelin will come down. So once ghrelin will come down after 2 o'clock or 2:30 or 3 o'clock, by 12:30 or 1 o'clock, you're very hungry. But by 2:30 or 3, normally you should have been more hungry, but you're not more hungry. Your hunger is in a way gone, because the peak of the hunger has gone. So this is one thing people have to understand, that hunger comes and goes. So if you can fight those 1 or 2 hours of that hunger pang, when the ghrelin is up, ghrelin automatically goes down. So this is one. Second is your mind. So mind will always remember. It's very similar. I mean, the example I give to people is, you see, once you understand this, carbs is not an essential food for the body. The essential foods for the body are vitamins, minerals, proteins. Proteins are very important for our muscles. So certain amount of normally the ratio is 0.6 gram per kg weight of your body. So it comes to about 50, 60, 70 grams of proteins for each person. So proteins are important from the point of view of muscles. And fat is not very essential, because when we are trying to get rid of the fat in the body, why will we have more fat during this period? So we tell them during this period, don't have fat. I mean, I can spend some time on what type of food to have, but I'm just saying that as far as fat is concerned, it is not an essential thing. Proteins is essential. Vitamins and minerals are very important. So this is the food that we want. Now, carbs is something which is not essential. So if you look at a cigarette smoker, he smokes. Now, that smoke is something the body doesn't need, the body doesn't want. But the body has got used to it, because somebody has been smoking for 1 year or 5 years or 10 years. So he's got an addiction. It's called an addiction. Addiction is the body's got used to a substance. Similarly, roti chawal is also an addiction. Scientifically we can say it is an addiction, because what is an addiction? Addiction, drinking water is not addiction, because it's essential. Doing something essential is good, but doing something non-essential and still doing it regularly is an addiction. Cigarette smoking, for example, is not essential, but you're smoking. You get some pleasure, you get some kick. So, okay. Similarly, this roti chawal, every time you eat roti chawal, you get some satiety, meaning satiation, you feel your hunger is satisfied. So you feel, maza aa gaya, acha khana khaya, So that kind of a feeling you get, So this is basically, and once you realize it is an addiction, so once the brain has understood this is an addiction, and like a cigarette smoking is bad, the second thing is how to control the mind. The mind is again and again reminding the smoker that chalo cigarette piyo. Similarly, the mind is reminding us also that roti khao, chawal khao, and all that. But once we understand the basic, that it is not an essential thing, it is an addiction, then slowly, when so many people are talking and you understand, you are listening to various things, and slowly the mind starts, and you see, when so much good information comes, then mind also becomes very weak. Meaning, you can tame the mind. If strong influence is not there and mind is the only thing. For example, some people, if they are alone, that's why they commit suicide sometimes. If the people are alone, the mind tells them, no, this is very bad, you should kill yourself or whatever, because the mind is playing on the brain. There is no other influence. But if you have influence of our group, community, 50, 60, 70 people, these lectures are taking place, you are reading this thing, you meet so many friends who have lost weight and now they're looking very healthy. So once the influence becomes very, very positive, this is how mind can be controlled. This is how mind can be controlled.
So now that you're talking about a community and tell us, how did AFK begin? And if you could tell us some of the success stories, because we are already 40 minutes into the interview. So I think the success stories of your academy will really get the ball rolling. So tell us, how did this begin?
Okay. So you see, in 2015 is around that time when I started losing my weight. And by 2016, I had a healthier body and a healthier lifestyle, and I had understood a lot of science. So from 2016, next 2-3 years, I kept practicing this on my body, so that I'll quickly say one more thing, because I skipped this earlier.
Sure.
You see, not only losing weight, it's not enough to lose weight. It's very important that you continue to keep the weight, so that the weight should not go up. So I have a strategy of, I'll quickly say the strategy and then I'll go to that other question that I was answering. The strategy of how to maintain your weight so that your weight doesn't go up. So the strategy I have is, once a week, I do a weekly fast. For example, it's a Tuesday. And my weight is 70 now. My set point weight is, my target weight is, let's say, 70 kgs. Now, every Tuesday when I go for a fast, so I'll do a 24 hours fast. Wednesday morning, I will check my weight on the scale. If the weight on the scale is 70 kgs or 69.9 or 70 kgs, that means I can eat on Wednesday. If the weight on the scale is 70.5, that means I cannot eat on Wednesday. So my 1 day fast has now become a 2-day fast.
Oh my God.
Okay, because how do I go back
Yeah.
to 70? Otherwise, 70 will be forgotten. 70 should
Right.
always be a set point.
Right.
So then the whole day will pass. When I fast, you can't check your weight in the middle of the day because you're having water, and even if you're
Yeah.
not eating, you're having water, and you put on
Yeah.
your clothes. So you just can't check weight all the time.
Yeah.
So the only time to check your weight is first thing in the morning. You go to the washroom, empty your stomach, and then you check your weight. And so that means Wednesday, and then Thursday morning. So Thursday morning I will check my weight. If my weight has reached 70 or 69.9, I will eat my food. So what does it mean? It means every week I cannot start eating food unless I touch 70. Now with this logic, you tell me, how will I put on weight, or how will anyone put on weight?
Wow.
If you correct your weight every week, how will
Right.
you ever put on weight?
Right.
You'll never put on
Right.
weight. Okay,
Right.
I'll give one or two more examples. There are periods. For example, I went to US for about 3-4 months. I was with my family. We were having fun, drinks, food, and all that. So during that period, I put on 2 or 3 kg weight. So when I came back to India, I didn't want to fast and all. So I didn't want to be. My theory is that when we are with friends and all that, I don't. Then I just enjoy at that time. We should also have good fun. Why we're not
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
all the time talking about fast, because then it becomes very boring. So I never talk about fast all the time. When we are with friends and family, when everyone is drinking, you drink. I'm talking about very special occasions. So don't
Yeah.
miss out on good fun. But when I come back to India, my weight is up by 2-3 kgs. So once I come back, I stop eating food. Now 2-3 kgs is something you can't lose in one day. The average weight you lose in 24 hours is 500 grams, half a kg.
Okay. Okay.
So if you have to lose weight of 2 kgs, it means fasting for 4 days. If you have to lose 2.5 kgs in 5 days. So when I come back from a holiday and my weight is already gone up by 2 kg or something, I'll stop eating for 4 days, 5 days, 6 days till I reach 70. I have to reach 70. Till I see 70, I will not start eating again. So now you tell me, this is my my process or my
Mantra.
method of mantra of not letting the weight go up. In between there are marriage or a function or a holiday, your weight can go up by 1 to 3 kgs, so let it be. But when you come back, you must go back to your set point, whatever is the set point.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So just 1 second. Hi Kaushal, hi Mona, hi Aishwarya. Thanks for watching. Arvind Tandon says, please dwell on the great effect of fasting on diabetes and other ailments. So yes, we are coming to that right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is now we are so far weight loss has to do with ketosis. Now we are getting into autophagy again. Now you see what happens during the process of autophagy is essentially it's fasting. But what happens during this period is that in the first 24 hours of fasting, the body starts producing, in the first 16-18 hours of fasting, the body starts producing growth hormones. Now, growth hormone is something when we were young, when we were a small child and we were growing up, our body was making growth hormones and we were becoming big and tall. And up to the age of 16, 17, 18, growth hormones are being produced in the body. But then the body stops making. But during this fasting, many people don't know you get growth hormones free of cost. The body is making growth hormones for you free of cost. And these growth hormones are very good for muscles. So when you do fasting, it makes your muscles very strong. So one is growth hormone. Second is after 16 hours to 24 hours and even beyond, the body starts making another hormone called serotonin. It is also called a happiness chemical, peace and happiness. So when the serotonin is produced, the body and the brain, you feel very happy, you feel very cheerful. So most of the people in our group, if you come and attend any Zoom call in our group, you'll find many people will say that after I joined the program, I have a lot of peace of mind, I have a lot of happiness. So one of the reasons is the serotonin is produced. Okay. The third thing, after maybe 24 hours and 36 hours, there's stem cells are produced. Now, stem cells is a huge technological advantage, because if you go for a stem cell treatment in the US and some of the advanced countries, it costs, hundreds of thousands of dollars, or in Indian rupees, it costs 20-30 lakh rupees, or it can cost up to maybe 500,000 US dollars.
Okay.
You have stem cell treatments for your knee and for different parts of the body. You can, there are studies going on, elongation of your life extension. People are planning to live 100 years, 120 years. So stem cell treatment, is available. But here, when we are fasting, the body is producing stem cells. Now, these stem cells, what do the stem cells do? Stem cells are like neutral cells. These neutral cells go and start repairing whichever part which is damaged. Somebody's knees are damaged, like many people who say that, their arthritis, they had a pain. Many members on our group have told us that the arthritis pain has, gone away. I can walk, initially they couldn't walk 100 steps or 200 steps. Now they can walk 4, 5, 6 kilometers. So the arthritis pain has gone away. Or some people say their migraine pain has gone away. And then even diabetes and blood pressure. On our group, I think about 20% of our members or 15% of our members have diabetes. There are many members who came with diabetes of HbA1c, the measurement of diabetes with HbA1c. There was a member with an HbA1c of 11. Within 3 or 4 months, he came down to 5.4 or 5.0. And within 4 months or 5 months, his doctor told him to stop all the medicines. He said, I was taking medicine for the last maybe 10 years or 15 years.
Wow.
After coming to us, we didn't give him any medicine. We just did this natural process of, fasting, food, how much to eat and when to eat and all that, and some exercise. But his diabetes got fully, reversed, and he's not having any medicine for diabetes. In our group, we also have 10-15% people who also eat medicines for blood pressure, hypertension, and within 2-3 months, 4 months, they say that, my doctor has cut down my medicine for blood pressure.
So good.
And within 2-3 months, they say my medicine has been stopped because I don't have blood pressure anymore. So they come to us for weight loss, but they get advantages of diabetes and blood pressure and arthritis. Skin gets, as I told you, when the stem cells are produced, they can repair the skin cells, or even the hair. So many members say the skin has improved, or the hair has improved, or the bones have improved, which is arthritis. There was some person who had some problem with his vision. Whenever he used to see anything, he used to see a black spot. That means there was some injury on the retina of his eye. And he did so much consultation with some eye surgeons and eye doctors, but I think that didn't, fully, improve. It improved to some extent, but the black spot was always there, and which used to irritate him. But when he came to a program, within 2 or 3 months, he told us, "Bir, my black spot has gone." And
wow.
Even I was very pleasantly surprised, because when our members say something has happened, we get as much happiness, sometimes more, compared to the member himself, because it's a great happiness for us when any member says, this pain has gone, my arthritis has gone, my vision has improved, my migraines have gone. I mean, it's a huge it's the biggest happiness for me.
I've seen one of the interviews from your group, and this lady who lost 40 kilos, she got rid of all her arthritis, and even her glasses went. So that is a huge thing,
Vision. I told you about vision.
Vision,
So this is all because of stem cells.
Right. Okay. So there are two people, Mona and Atul Deepa Raizada. They're asking what foods that you could eat during this kind of fast in ketosis, to reach ketosis. Okay. What normal foods will provide vitamin, protein, and minerals? So if you can tell us in short, what foods are allowed.
Yes. See, one is fasting. During fasting, you can't have any food. The only food that is allowed is water. You can have water, tea, coffee. You can have lemon water. We allow, sabja seeds, chia seeds. Essentially, we don't want anyone to have any caloric food, any food having any calories. Because I explained to you, your blood glucose has to go to 0, your insulin has to go to rock bottom, and ketosis has to start. If you have any food, your insulin will not go down and ketosis will not start. So,
But with tea,
best thing is
coffee,
to
the sugar, with tea,
tea,
coffee, and
coffee.
sugar,
No
no sugar
sugar, no
in
no
between.
no milk also. In
Okay.
exceptional cases, we say okay, add 1 or 2 spoons of milk, because some people say I can't have my tea and coffee without milk. So
Okay.
we say okay, add just 1 or 2 spoons of milk, but
Okay.
no sugar. We never
No sugar.
allow sugar. Okay,
Okay.
no. Okay, this is during the fasting. During the eating period, now in the first 1 week or something, we keep telling them to cut down on the carbs. As they start cutting down their carbs, if they were eating 3 rotis, we tell them to eat 2, and very soon 1, and very soon 0. And similarly, rice they cut down to half and all that. So after 1 week or 10 days, and then on our group, no one is eating carbs. So if you are eating carbs, you will feel like, why am I eating carbs? When 60, 70, 80 people can live without eating carbs, why should I be? So शर्म से भी वो 8-10 दिन में they stop eating carbs. Okay,
Carbs.
that's one.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so they get used to living. Many people used to think, how will I live? How will I survive? They see people have been living here for years and not. For example, I don't eat carbs. I don't eat roti rice even now. Of course, when there is a party or function or something on that day, of course I will eat. But I know how to get my weight down.
Yes.
But normally
Yes.
on a day-to-day basis, I don't eat roti chawal. So this is something not to be eaten. But what should we eat? The most important food to be eaten is vegetables. Okay. Now vegetables of two types. One is uncooked vegetables. I call it salads. It can be straight uncooked. Carrots, cucumbers. Like that. Or so sometimes it can be semi-cooked, in the sense steamed, or little bit sauteed,
Yeah.
because sauteed, because for example, asparagus and all that, you'll have to saute a little bit or steam a
Sauteed.
little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
But this essentially it's salads. So I call it salads, or call it kacha vegetables, or uncooked vegetables. Okay,
Right.
this you eat as much as possible, all vegetables except potatoes or other foods from potato family. Okay.
Yeah.
The second is cooked vegetables. Cooked vegetables also you can eat. All kinds of
Okay.
cooked vegetables, bindi,
Okay.
gobi,
Yeah, okay.
all cooked vegetables you can eat. Don't put
Okay.
aloo in that.
Okay.
Okay. So this is good food. The third is, you must eat, as I said, proteins. You must eat 50, 60, 70 grams of proteins. So the best form of proteins is, for Indians or for vegetarian people, is dals. All types of dals, either yellow dals, which don't have the chilka or the skin, or with the skin also, which is masoor ka dal, moong ka dal, or other dals, and beans, red beans, white beans. So all these have proteins. And
Right.
those who eat non-veg, they can also have eggs. Eggs is a very good source of protein. And those who eat non-veg can also have chicken and fish, or mutton. So that will give them protein. So, but you must have proteins during the eating
Right.
window. You must have proteins.
Okay.
So vegetables, you must have both, salads, cooked vegetables, and cooked dal. And then if you have some protein item, for vegetarians it can be paneer, okay, or tofu, or
Yeah.
maybe there could be some other items. But the vegetarians don't have so many options, but they can have beans, red beans, white beans. And sprouts is a very good food, which sprouts can be made. Now sprouts
Right.
can be counted either in salads, or in some people even cook
Dals.
make some vegetable out of
Right.
sprouts,
Right.
or this thing. So sprouts is good food. And proteins. Fats, we tell them not to add any extra fat to your food. That means don't put any butter. Don't put 1 spoon of ghee on your food. So don't. But whatever ghee or oil or fat, whatever is used for cooking the normal food like dal, sabji, that much is okay. We are
Okay.
not telling you to have absolutely zero, fat.
Right.
Normal fat which is used for cooking your sabji
Right.
and dal and all, that is okay. Don't
Right.
put anything extra. So I
Right.
have told you about fats. I've told you about proteins. The only thing other,
What about
the
nuts?
vegetables will give you a lot of. Sorry.
Nuts. What about nuts?
Yeah, I was coming to that. Yeah. So the only thing, the vegetables will give you these vitamins and some of the minerals. These nuts or dry fruits, and especially, we tell everyone to have 2 pieces of walnut and 6, 7, 8 pieces, almonds. Soak it in water and then have it on the next day. So these dry fruits are a very good source of vitamins and minerals and some fats. These are some good fats. So dry fruits can be had. There are some seeds that can be had, some watermelon seeds or pumpkin seeds and some of the seeds. So essentially, foods consisting of these categories we can have. Don't have sugar, and carbs also, try to have, come to zero as soon as possible.
That sounds absolutely great. So we're almost close to 1 hour, and I think you have, explained our viewers very, very beautifully of what is autophagy, what is fasting, what is ketosis. This is amazing. So everybody that is watching us from the paradigm shift, Mr. RBS Bir runs a academy, AFK. There is a group on Facebook. You can request and join this group. There is a lot of